Everything we've done's led up to right now. Right now. Because legacy are full of legends. You can become a legend today, boys. Put your stamp on history. Put your stamp on a legacy. It is going to take all of us. All of us. Men, be not afraid. Do not be afraid to be a legend.
Welcome to OPA Podcast, episode 18. This is the Rutgers Takeover Edition, part 1, with one of your hosts. I'm Jason O.
And I'm Griffin. Jake Paulson, I still love you, even after you dropped the easy touchdown pass. There was no one within 30 yards of you, most.
First, we're going to let Griffin go on a bit of a rant since he has been present in some of our episodes, so I'll let you take the floor.
All right, so this kind of goes back to last week when I missed the podcast. I'm kind of going to quickly go through the game at different points and maybe just rant on a couple different things. So first quarter, 2 minutes in, Kamal strips Peters. But Illinois recovers it. That was kind of a downer, but just kind of Kamal in general of like how he is built in his lengthy arms. He will be a great pro-style linebacker someday, so I'm really excited to see that. The pick six from Tanner that put Illinois up 7-0. That was a little disappointing to see. But what I think is so funny is that like Tanner always talks about failure is growth and how to respond from that. And it's literally like almost every game he has to fail in order to succeed. Because like Georgia Southern, he did the same thing where the first two plays of the game, he tried to go two slant routes. One of them was close to getting picked off. The second one was picked off. But then through the rest of the game, himself, he was fairly good with the ball. So I don't know what it is with like the process of like that goes through his mind, but then he just responds like in a professional manner. I don't understand it. Anyway, Antoine Winfield with the interception, blatant miscommunication and overthrow, but we'll take that. A lot of missed tackles. We all know Reggie Corbin is a grown man. He killed us last year with our Rob Smith defense. But that obviously had to get better, and it was better this week, but we still have room to improve. Kind of moving to the second quarter, there was a truck stick, which was, I forgot who it was. It was a couple minutes in. But was it Mo? Maybe it was Mo. But we got like 60 yards.
Rodney.
Was it Rodney? I figured.
Mo was out until...
Oh, that's right. Yeah, he was. Yeah, this week was the first week they were all three back. 9 minutes to go. Rodney gains 17 yards after Illinois shows 8 people in the box. So that dude can find any hole, and his little legs can churn, and he will push any pile. 1 minute left.
Second level.
Yeah. 1 minute left. Shannon Brooks with the touchdown. Love that. Just kind of overall stats. We're averaging 35.8 points a game, not counting this week in the stats. On offense, which is awesome, averaging 27.2 points on defense. I'd like to see the number get lower. It's weird to say that the driving force, I think, of this whole team is Tanner, who's now 10-2 as a starter, but back then it was like 9-2. He's ranked 4th in passing efficiency among names like Jalen Hurts, Joe Burrow, Tua Tagovailoa.
Really?
Yeah, and Justin, I think he was 4th on that list. Justin Fields. Like, the dude is... I mean, then again, sometimes he's not even throwing 20 passes a game, but you just think of the efficiency, and it could even be higher if Tyler Johnson didn't drop all these passes. But anyway, QB ratings, Illinois' QB ratings last week was just hilarious because they had 23.9 for Peters and then like 3.5 for Matt Robson. They wwere literally awful.
Did they ever disclose the injury that we gave to Brandon Peters?
Wasn't it like, I thought it was like a clavicle or something.
Man, we breaking quarterbacks' clavicles this season?
Bro, we're dropping opposing teams left and right. I'd say the one shining light about Illinois is Dele Harding, their linebacker, who had 15 total tackles. He was everywhere on the field. Think of it as like a Fresno State Antoine Winfield. He is everywhere. And the third down efficiency for the Gophers, we were 2 for 10 that game, so not great, but Then again, it's Illinois, so we don't have to be great at a lot of things to win. Oh, uh, Lovie Smith, one thing I noticed throughout the game is he loved playing cover two. That's kind of his style of defense. But I don't think it worked out very well just with his different versions. He had a lot of too high safeties, but I mean, you can have one of our receivers go deep, the other kind of cut across the field on a short route. So, I mean, it didn't really do anything in my opinion, but that's just kind of who he is, and that's what they stuck with. Again, we dropped too many passes. Tanner could have at least been 15 for 17. Tyler dropped like 6. Tanner was 9 for 17 overall, which was very, very sad to see.
And those passes were on point too. Like those weren't like you said, 15 to 17. Some of those passes were right on the mark in their hands or on their chest.
Even if it was close, these receivers have the playmaking ability to grab it. Tanner's not known for his accuracy per se, but he is known to be efficient and get the ball at least pretty close where it needs to be, and the receiver should do the rest. I'm not excusing Tanner for his passes, but he knows they have to be better. But it's just something that they'll work on in practice. And then just kind of, I mean, that's kind of my quick rant is love the defense, love the run game, and we just got to play mistake-free football. Now on to the Rutgers championship season.
Wait. Nebraska. What? We got to talk about that.
Oh, yeah. That game
happened. Yep. So Saturday night under the lights, we smoked Nebraska 34-7. Now making Nebraska 4-3 overall. Gophers up to 6-0. We are undefeated. Thanks to that, we're now 20th ranked in the country in the AP poll and in the coaches poll.
Thank God.
So some key stats. So Tanner Morgan had a pedestrian day. He was 8 for 13, 128 yards, 9.8 average, with 1 touchdown. But he didn't need to do much after the first quarter. I'll be honest.
No, he did, because our running backs did everything for him. I thought it was so. Muhammad looks like he had just the better night based on touchdowns, but it was like Rodney and Shannon are getting all the big gains, and then Muhammad's just punching them in from 5 yards out. So
yeah, Rodney Smith, his stats was 18 carries for 139 yards, 7.7 yards average with 1 touchdown. Brooks had 13 carries for 99 yards for 7.6 yards average. Mo had 15 carries for 84 yards, 5.6 average, 3 touchdowns. And Tanner pulled it once, having 1 carry for 4 yards. Yeah, that's pretty much it from the running back core.
And I mean, we did this all with Falele out at right tackle, which honestly amazes me. Blaze did a heck of a job covering for him our entire offensive line, which was actually the biggest that we faced throughout this entire season so far. Yet they still could not penetrate really through our first line, our offensive line, and our pocket stayed pretty clean most of the night. There were just a couple times where if Tanner held onto the ball any longer, he would have gotten smoked. But we had
John Michael Schmidt started his first ever college football game at center for the Gophers too, and he's been crucial with the rotation in the last 3 games in Big Ten play.
Oh, he absolutely has. I love having him available as kind of like our 6th man to help keep the line steady. He's gritty, he's earned it, and I just want to see him continue to grow in whatever role he ends up being in more permanently.
Yep, and then in terms of receiving, even though it was a pedestrian day, we still got some good stuff going on. Tyler Johnson had 5 receptions for 109 yards, especially that 45-yard long reception.
Should have been a touchdown, but that hoodie magic that he bringing, that hoodie magic, he was rocking that hoodie all night, and I was here for it.
Yep, and then Chris Abenbell only had 1 reception for 15 yards, but that was the score of the first touchdown in the game.
And then someone else only had 1 reception.
Jake Paulson for 8 yards. He did drop that 1 pass for that TD, which made me sad.
I hope they don't beat him up too bad for that, just given the outcome of the game. Watching it right there on the sideline, I was right in front of my face. I was, for lack of a better term, disappointed. Jake looked like he was trying to turn up field before he ever solidified control of the ball. But I'm sure he'll never end up doing that again.
Yep. And then let's see here. Let's check up on some more things. Of course, our boy Kamal Martin had led the team in tackles, 15 total tackles, 6 solo. Second behind him was Antoine Winfield Jr. with 10 total tackles, 7 solo, with 1 sack with that safety blitz earlier in the game.
Love that.
And then behind him is Thomas Barber at 9 and Chris Williamson at 8. And both of them were credited with half a sack. And then other sacks was from Sam Renner and Carter Coughlin as well.
Nebraska, I don't know if people know this, but after this game they gave up, I think they've given up somewhere between 18 and 20 sacks so far this year, which is most in the Big Ten.
And mind you, we did this against, was it Verdal was the name of the quarterback, not Adrian Martinez. So we heard this man is dead.
Yeah, who was it? Thomas Barber, when he was scrambling towards the end zone, clipped him on the leg, and he even got up limping. So we are dropping defenders as a Gopher defense left and right.
Along with Wandale Robinson.
Oh my God, yes, Wandale. At least everything is legal. Let's leave it at that.
Yep. And then Michael Lance did not make a field goal, but unfortunately he did miss an extra point on the last touchdown that we made earlier in the fourth quarter. I'm not sure what happened there. Did you see much from the game footage that we had?
I didn't look at it too closely. I honestly thought he made it real time. I wasn't looking. I just kind of assumed it was going to go up and through. But I don't know. He had a tendency in the first couple where he would kick it up and then it would go to his left if he's staring at the goalpost, and that was kind of the common theme. And then this next one just really hooked. I have no idea if it was a bad snap, bad hold, bad kick. I honestly haven't even looked at the footage, but he was 4 for 5 from extra points in a game that we knew was over at halftime. So
yeah, from my point of view, so I had a good vantage point of the goalpost from the Pride Pit, from the student side. For our fans who aren't aware of the Pride Pit for the Minnesota Marching Band, he missed it by like at least 2 to 3 feet from the post.
Woof.
So it was bad. Like, I don't think anyone was putting their brass instrument up on my end, since that's where the trumpets are. So I don't know what the hell happened, but he needs to change his best, please. And Jacob Herbers had a night. He had a total of 5 punts. While he did only average I think, a lower average of 34.8 yards per punt. But then again, those were like pinning him behind, like still behind the 10-yard line, 5-yard line a couple times, like from midfield anyway. And his longest of the night was only at 50 yards. So I don't blame him.
Only a 50.
Yeah. Other than that, so Griff, I want to recap this before to recap the Nebraska game. Should Gopher fans at this point, or any Minnesota fan who knows Gopher football or Minnesota sports in general, is it too late for them to get on this train, or should they get on now, since we're already halfway through the season at 6-0?
First of all, they're not getting on a train; they're getting on a boat. And it is not too late. I will still take newcomers because I think we look at a team like Nebraska, and in Lincoln, that's the show. That's all they have. That's it. You have Minnesota, where we should have more attention to our name right now, but we have all the major sports organizations. It's a tougher ticket to sell because of the past, because of all the other competition in the area, but it is not too late. I am more than willing to continue to take people on the boat. This is potentially a historic season. We are 6-0 for the first time since 2004. We are
3 actually.
Oh, 3, thank you. We've won 8 games straight dating back to last season. We have scored 112 points, I think, in Big Ten play. There's nothing preventing people from not showing up and having the Gopher University of Minnesota Golden Gopher football team be the hottest ticket in town at the moment, and it pains me to see empty seats in the stands.
We
So
only had, at least recorded, only 43,502 fans. Of course, the weather was a big factor, but like I thought from where I was standing and my vantage point, I couldn't see the second level of the student section. That's the sad part. I couldn't see it up that
it
far.
wasn't even half full at the start of the game.
Okay, so no, by knowing that, I was expecting around a 40,000 marker of the fans that were there. And Nebraska travels well. Not you when you think about it, Nebraska
Oh,
fans
oh,
travel
yeah.
well, like very well, and they cover like half the away side of the field
Right, and
of
they
the
were
stadium.
quiet, so it still felt like a home game.
Yeah, so you know I agree with that. I agree with what you said. Like we should be or at least be a hot ticket to be selling. The Twins season is over. They didn't make it past the playoffs, unfortunately. So something to look at. The Vikings tickets are super expensive at this point as well in the NFL season, and they Vikings fans are also dedicated. They've been to our stadium. Why not come to ours on the Saturday night? Football all weekend. And in the Wild, they're not doing great. Like, well, they 0-4 last I checked.
1-4,
1-4. There we go.
and
So
they lost tonight, so probably 1-5.
yeah. So you know, come on, come on, Minnesota fans. We need you on this boat because we got 6 more games in the season, and 3 of them are home games: Maryland, Penn State, and Wisconsin. And we're going to need you there, especially with Penn State and Wisconsin coming up at home.
The
2
Minnesota
really good ranked
Vikings,
teams.
yes, the Minnesota Vikings have always been our Minnesota's main football team, but it's going to take, unfortunately, going to take just more time and more sustained success before we see more Gopher fans coming to TCF. But 40,000 is a great number for TCF to have, despite the weather. So I'm not too mad.
And it's up from last year's, and that's all that matters.
Yeah, last year was bad, but especially that Indiana game. Woof.
Oof.
Oh,
All right. So let's move on. So, uh, some mid-season stuff. So, before the podcast off air, I want to ask the guys on their mid-season evaluations of the Gopher football team. So let me start with Larranz. So Larranz is at a concert tonight, unfortunately, but he said he gave the offense a B, he gave the defense a B, and he gave special teams a D minus. And then Wyatt says the Gopher team is slow and steady improvement, which is exactly what he wanted to see from this team from the start of the season, starting from game 1. So what's your take then, Griffin, on this mid-season evaluation?
um, I'm mostly going to look at Laurent's on this one, but when haven't I clapped back at Laurent's? Um, Offense as a B, I think that is very low, just given our production from years past. I kind of alluded to it earlier, but we scored 112 points, I think, in Big Ten play, which is the most in a while. Our run game is the best in the Big Ten. Jonathan Taylor is number 2 at the moment. We have our receivers who are PJ is currently forming future top round NFL wideouts right now. What we have is absolutely incredible. The way he just continues to mold it. So offense, I would disagree on that. We also haven't averaged that many points, I think, per consistently per game on offense in a while, dating back a lot of years. So moving on to the defense, I would say that is a very accurate assessment. A B is very accurate. We do not have a great red zone defense right now, but just overall, we have a lot of blown assignments because we do tend to just give up a lot of large chunk plays, but then our defense seems to be on lockdown. And so obviously there's that inconsistency where I can see where Laurent's would kind of give it more of a B, but I'm going to go kind of more of like a B plus. Oh wait, I'm agreeing with Laurent. Yeah,
Yeah, you're
so
agreeing. So B is a valid point,
yeah,
right?
I'm agreeing. I would still go a little bit higher on a B plus, just because we look at this last game. J.D. Spielman broke off like a what was it, like a 40 or 50-yard catch, and then
We
the
sacked Vard
following
all
two
twice.
possessions and then they're out of field goal range. So it's just mistakes like that. Like that was just a simple blown coverage where someone didn't have their man. But then again, you give up the one big chunk play, and then your defense is on lock. So that is very accurate. He looks a little pessimistic on the special team side. Um, I don't. I would. I'd still give it a B. I mean, I think he's looking at
Our
Seth
kicker.
Green at Purdue, maybe. Yeah, but Herbers has done just fine. Meach has done just fine. Uh, Catching any punts.
Ryerson
I mean, I'm gonna.
did have some inconsistencies of kicking out of bounds and not going to the end zone for a touchback.
Oh, he does, but I still wouldn't rank that as low as a D minus. So I'm
Yeah.
gonna have to hear a little bit more on Laurent's ends, but I'd say offense is. Um, this is gonna be a little bit high just because of my optimism, but offense is an A minus, defense is a B plus, special teams is a B minus.
Okay.
These are just little quirks that um, will get worked out. We're still, we're 6-0. Not gonna. We're doing enough things right where these can be, kind of an afterthought. So
Okay.
um, that's kind of my thought.
My thought is that I'll give the offense a B plus. I think the bye week finally gave them the click because like if we did this predict these like mid season evaluations before the bye or during the bye, I would actually give the offense like a C. Like besides our wide receiver core, our O line wasn't doing well. The run game we were, what was it 2 to 3 yards average per carry, which is a
Yeah.
low for um, our stable running backs. And then when the bye hit, we literally the score doesn't reflect it. We did well against Purdue. Um, we did really well against Illinois, and then put the throttle down against Nebraska. Like how Larranz brought up a few episodes ago. Like PJ tends to act nice once we have a comfortable lead. Like
Oh,
he
but
he just let the throttle down this game.
maybe it's just because it's Big Ten play too, and it matters a little bit more. But he had the opportunity to blow Scott Frost out, and he wanted to run it down his throat.
Yep. So I give the offense at the moment, this midseason, a B plus, but they can be better. Like
Yes, they can.
they can be better.
I'm
Um,
just very optimistic out of this last game because Gophers did not have a negative play from scrimmage in the first half, and
yeah,
I think that was very important. We were picking up key third downs. We were blocking. Holy cow!
making
Um,
our own big plays in the run game.
there were just huge holes in the line everywhere. So
Hmm.
props to everyone on that. So I mean, realistically, it might be more at a B plus, but right now I'm hovering at a very very low A minus.
Hmm. So for defense, if this was before the bye, I would have given them a B minus. Um, but at this point, they're more for me a B
God, I wouldn't
plus.
even have given them a B minus. Oh,
I'm giving them a B plus at the moment. They've been the D line's been getting better in their packages and their blitz and getting to the quarterback now, especially with Sam Renner finally stopping with the penalties. Carter Coughlin kind of figured out his niche, so did Micah do Treadway, along with Winston De La Labadiere, and the rotation of those guys as well. Linebackers, once Kamal was back, it solidified the leadership essentially with Thomas Barber and Kamal leading that linebacker core, and then Antoine and now recently Benjamin St. Just from our grad transfer from Michigan, who has also stepped up. So that's why I give that overall score to a B plus, since we're taking causing more turnovers or causing them to lose the ball, either be a fumble or interception, or just being there after like one or two big plays in each of the 3 games essentially so far in Big Ten play. So for combined, so both offense defense, B plus. So I kind of in agreement with Laurent's special teams. I'm going to give it a C, C plus. Again, inconsistencies with our kickers of Ryerson and Lance. Again, they're new guys, and I'm not gonna put much blame on them. But of course, when it gets to like say crunch time against like Penn State or Wisconsin or Iowa, I expect Michael Lance, to be there to make those kicks. So does Ryerson, especially if we're up by 4 or up by 2, and they just need a field goal to win the game to walk off with a win. So, like in terms of coverage, like on punt and kick return, we've been fine. I'll be honest. And the punting game, it's just kicking wise, it impacted the score more. So I'll say more of a C C plus at the moment. But I think they can get better from there.
Agreed.
All right, so that's it for our recap. So let's move on to preview the 20th ranked Golden Gophers at Piscataway against Rutgers University, the birthplace of college football. 3:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time kickoff, so 2:30 at home here in Minneapolis, 2:30. Griffin and I will be flying out this Friday to check out the game live, right, Griff?
Oh yeah.
So that's why it's part 1 of Rutgers Takeover. Griff and I are taking over for tonight, and then we'll do a special episode right after the game on Saturday. So right now, here's some key things I'm looking at. So ESPN's FPI, so Football Power Index, is giving Gophers 94% to Rutgers 6%. And then Vegas's Lines has a spread of favoring the Gophers of minus 29, and the over/under at about 48. Last I checked.
48 just sounds high because I think Rutgers is that team where I know PJ's had some history there with Shiano. I think he still has. It's so many of our coaches too have gone through Rutgers as well.
Rossi, Shiraka, Fleck.
Exactly, and so like I don't think it's one that he necessarily wants to like purposefully and with strong intent just run it down their throats and run up the score.
And he also knows the current interim coach of Rutgers too. Like they worked with together as when he was a recruiter there back then as well.
Exactly, and so he does have a lot of respect for him. So I think they know what the outcomes of the game's going to be, but if they don't have to run up the score, they're not going to. I don't know if that's ever going to be an issue. I haven't looked super deep into Rutgers this season just because they're going to be bad, but they only have 7 points in Big Ten play.
Mm-hmm.
They've gotten shut out by dang near everybody.
Yeah, some key team stats for Rutgers. They only averaged 11.8 points per game. They allowed 36 points per game. They have 266.7 total yards, 161.5 passing, 105.2 rushing. They have allowed 450.2 yards total, which is up to about 241 yards pass and 209.2 yards rush. Oof. Like, it's not even oof, that's an woofda. Like, damn.
But what's going to help them is that they announced throwback uniforms inspired by the brick, black iron gate, and stained glass of Queens College. Why would they do that? Because if you're going to lose, you better do it in style. I don't know if they're actually wearing them for the game or not, but
some key things.
They do kind of look cool. They're a lot better than Wisconsin's ugly throwbacks.
Yeah. Some key things. I heard Sikowski, their quarterback who went to school together with our current quarterback, one of our quarterbacks, Zach Annexstad, back at IMG with Curtis and Daniel as well.
Yes.
He played 4 games, and he just literally just said, I'm taking my red shirt, and just sat out. So he's not going to be playing, even though he's their leading passer. And then I think Raheem Blackshear, their best, wide receiver / running back, also said the same thing. So he'll be sitting out, and he's their best receiver in terms of team stats as well. So I don't know. I think at this point, in my opinion, looking at the current Rutgers team, like when Chris Ash was there, we know they were a dumpster fire, but like they were a controlled dumpster fire. Like it wasn't getting out. It was stable, even with Chris Ash losing games. Once he got fired, shit just went down at that week after he got fired. Is that just me?
No, no, it's also me as well because you look at it and they fire their offensive coordinator too, which I don't see what that accomplishes really. I feel like if you're gonna, try and build a new team, you just need a whole new staff. I think Chris was a good guy for the job, just given how hard the job was, and I think he was making progress. But when you have something that you need to fix, like Rutgers, it literally is going to take time. I mean, you look at when PJ took over Minnesota here, you could have classified us something close to a dumpster fire. Um, but you see his recruiting style, his tactics, his energy, just the people he brings here, the coaches he brings here. Uh, Literally, he's changed this program from, bottom half of FBS to 20th in the nation in 3 years. That is a tremendous
And
feat as a head coach.
and I know we're looking ahead right now. We're on the Rutgers championship season, but the media is talking about, this is the Minnesota team they expected to be a contender to fight with Wisconsin and Iowa for the Big Ten West crown so they can go to the Big Ten championship. Right now, tied for first in the Big Ten West at 6-0 right now are both us and Wisconsin.
And this is what it should be.
Yep.
Two gritty teams. And Wisconsin's coming back mad. Their defense has scored 4 touchdowns.
They want that axe back.
And their defense, I think, has only allowed 4 touchdowns, if I'm not mistaken. And they want that axe back.
So, at least some key things then. Well, we don't know much from the Rutgers end, especially with how like their quarterback and their player situation have went down the last 2 weeks, and I literally just lost track. I give up trying to plan for this team. What can our Gophers improve on from the last game, and also what do they need to keep doing well into Rutgers?
Well, I think the one thing, if we're playing Rutgers and we're kind of going almost like a high school team, I know that sounds extreme, but something that they can improve on is just blocking in general. I think they blocked well. They blocked very well against Nebraska, but there's always things you can tweak. This is a great opportunity for them to kind of maybe test some new blocking patterns out or do different formations. I don't know. Whatever schemes they want to run, I think this is their time to do it because this is not a high caliber opponent by any means. So this is a good opportunity to block. And Tanner's going to have a very, very healthy arm by the end of this game because they're just going to run the ball if they can the entire game.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I would be shocked if there was less than 300 yards for sure. I'm guessing there's going to be about 400.
So would this be the game where we should put Daniel Falatas to be at tailback for once in the red zone, 5 yards out from the yard line or the goal line?
I mean, shit, why not? Do some spring game action here.
Yeah, for me, I think it's just consistency. Like, of course, I'll go. I agree with what you say. Try some new things on offense or defense or special teams. Make sure to try it out, especially against a natural opponent and not your own scout team or defense back in or your own doors. Especially, I think for me, it's just consistency. If we're going to succeed for the rest of the season, we need to put that same consistency, what we've seen from an improvement from Purdue to Illinois to Nebraska to Rutgers. Yes, Rutgers may be a horrible team, but if we're being consistent and we know PJ is probably not going to throw the throttle down in the second half if we take a huge lead, Um, you know, just be consistent and stay true to who we are and just do what we do best. Um, but would would you see this though? And I can see this happening. Say we go up by 4 to 5 possessions, right? And it's still and Rutgers is still scoreless, or they have at least 3 points. Would that be the perfect opportune time for us as well to put Jacob Clark or Cole Kramer to get some playing experience?
Oh, why not? I mean, they make well.
Because the redshirt rule, we have 6 games left, and what this game could be an option.
That's very true. It just you don't want any freak accident to happen because if Rutgers sees that, they might have a heyday. But I still think at the same time it's just going to be the quarterback handing off the ball. I guess there's a lot of stuff there with trust and movement just to get some live in-game experience with it. But I mean, I guess you could put Jacob Clark or Cole Kramer in there, yeah, if you wanted to. I wouldn't really be against that. But just know that this is probably just going to be, HB dives up the middle. Don't think we're going to see a lot of Seth Green. I don't think we are going to see a lot of.
I'm for sure going to see like maybe 1 or 2 times our tight ends go catch something, and then it'll be blocking the rest of the day.
Right, and we're going to have half of our starters sitting by the end of the third quarters for sure. So, I mean, I'm up to try new things. We can just continue to block. Blocking, man, we have an O-line that needs to get better. It has gotten better, but I just want to see us block behind our three-headed monsters of Shannon, Rodney, and Mo.
All right, so let's move on to predictions then. So, Larranz says Gophers on top, 42-24.
Oof.
And then Wyatt says Gophers on top, 30-13.
So am I the one going next?
Do you want to go, or do you want me to say it?
Oh, I think I wrote something. I just can't remember what I said, and I don't want to. Oh, I said we're gonna go 45-7 over Rutgers with the dub.
Man, and I thought I was batshit insane.
Hey, and I would like to add that Rutgers scores the first touchdown, and then gets outscored. Or we score 45 unanswered. So.
You know what I'm going to say?
I don't know. Well, you're going to win.
52-14. In the fourth quarter, we're going to let Jacob Clark play. It's going to be 3rd and 8. He's going to throw a pick 6. They'll run it back for a touchdown to give it a 52-7 game. And then end right there. I don't know if that's me being optimistic or just being plain stupid at this point with this prediction.
I mean, I think we're all pretty generous giving Rutgers points at this point.
All right. So that's pretty much it for the recap for Rutgers, but we'll come in post game and maybe do some live action as well on social media. We'll see once that game happens, but for sure we'll see you guys next time. Any more takes or information for the night?
I would just like to add now that the fourth quarter will be filled with backups and players wanting some experience. We in the fourth quarter during Big Ten games, the Minnesota Golden Gophers play selection has been 39 rush and 2 pass.
Oh.
So, Cam, Bryce, get ready because you might be running.
Maybe Trey Potts as well.
I don't know if we'll go that far. I don't know if we need 6 running backs. We barely need 5.
All right. Still, Daniel Faalele getting in that end zone.
I'd almost even keep him out this game too, just to be safe. I know he's probably fine, but
all right.
If Bryce plays the way he did, that's all we need.
All right. So thank you to all our fans and listeners for today's episode of Opa Podcast. So like I said, we'll be coming back at you guys again very soon during the weekend post-Rutgers game for the Rutgers Takeover Part 2. But we'll see you guys next time. And again, my name is Jason.
And I'm Griffin. I hope this doesn't turn into the game a couple years ago where it came down to a last-second field goal. Most.
And we'll see you guys next time. And, oh.